Twirling, twirling. Hello, boys and girls. A little earlier than scheduled. Some of you will be listening to this on replay, but we're back with the tactical squad. How the Arsenal can beat Brighton. Josh is back. Super Kev is back. And it's Dicky Bow Thursday. Need I say more?
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Introducing your new host of the Highbury Squad. He's not happy. Oh, bless him. He was trying to show off to Uncle Kev again. He's got a new Dicky Bow.
Well, he's seen my Dicky Bow when he's run away, hasn't he?
He's run away.
And then he ran away.
Kev, you're still intimidating folks right there up front. So what can we say? A little earlier than scheduled. We know that a lot of our regular listeners will be tuning in a bit later. Make sure that you put in all your comments in YouTube. Back on the show, of course, is Dicky Bow Thursday. Looking dapper is my podcast brother from another mother, Super Kevin Campbell.
And you know what, Soph? Sometimes the squaddies don't get to see me in the Dicky Bowl, only on Kev Says on the Friday. Why? Because I don't just keep the Dicky Bowl on all day. When I get home and I've got nothing else to do, I change. You want to chill out? You take it easy, don't you? But now, with the early one, the squaddies, who we must salute, obviously, at ease, they get to see me in all my glory in the Dicky Bowl. So
I love it. It's worth going earlier just for this. I know, Tammy. What time is this? It's early time. Here's the reason why. Well, actually, I will introduce Josh back to the show. Hello, Josh, the Human 23. Welcome back to the Highbury Squad, Mr. Tactical Squad Geezer. How's it going?
It's going very well. I am very smug. Kev has been helping fuel my smugness pre-show as well, so I'm ready to give it back to all the squaddies to say I was right.
You got it right. You did. You got it right.
We'll see with this one, but we'll bated breath. But yeah, for right now, I am on a high, a smug high, and you better believe it.
I love it. We'll get into that. And folks like Tony, just logging in to hit the like button, they got to run because it's a different time for them. Thanks, Tony. Early morning tactics. Our listeners from India are very happy, by the way. I've had a couple of DMs saying you guys should be on this time a little more often. Everywhere they go, Tottenham get battered. London is blue. Arsenal is a small club. Welcome to the show. I think you'll find that's not the case.
Oh, hey, listen. Arsenal is a small
London
club.
is blue.
I think we're going to leave you to the squaddies because I think they're going to duff you. They're going to do you in. Don't worry about that. We don't even need to worry about that.
No, we don't. Greetings from Kenya.
Nairobi,
yes,
nice one.
We love it. Of course, let us know where in the world you are. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Soph. How you doing?
Hi, Soph.
Newman is back, Kev. Josh, Newman got a yellow card. He's been on this campaign on Twitter trying to get his card rescinded. And the board have made their decision, Kev, and the card stands for Newman. It will not be rescinded. And their findings are this: you can go for a poop anytime you want, but just don't talk about it ad nauseum in chat.
Love that. I love that. I love that.
Newman, if you want to go with that chat, there is a forum for you. It's called a Burkamp Wonderland, and we will talk through what's going on there with your downstairs area all day.
Is he on there trying to poach our Newman?
Yeah. I told you, Kev, I'm here. I'm full of beans.
He's a secret
You're full of
agent,
beans.
Kev.
I'm still in my workwear as well. No shorts for me. I'm in chinos.
Listen, we're gonna have to bring you down a peg or two. Just you're getting a bit too big for your boots, young man.
Get it, Kev. Get it.
Jeez.
It's going to be a race between Newman and I. So who's got the disciplinary record? He's on every show as well.
Well,
so get your cards ready.
I've got my cards ready. Josh, you're only in the book once, and I think since you've said you'll sell Thomas Partey, he's been absolutely phenomenal. To be fair.
Well, hold on a minute. I think come the end, we're going to ask him again. We have to ask him at the end of
every week.
Yeah.
Every week. Yeah. Hello, Brandon from South Africa, Khalifa from Nigeria. Good evening to all of you. Jack is a little high, but maybe it's a contact high. Who knows? Yeah. The only channel with swag. Thank you, Jacob.
Of course, Jacob. You know that.
We got it going on. Newman's making a note of a Bergkamp Wonderland. I think you have a new listener. All right. We have another football game coming up. Romania. Hello. Been to Transylvania. Romania's a fun place, I tell you. Kev, you been to Romania? You played football in? Have you not?
No
games.
Really? No games. No games there. I'd love to go, by the way. I really would like to go.
Yes.
Steeped in history.
Jazzaby wants to show off. They were in Hong Kong and now they're in London. We love it. We got the Philippines in the house as well.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, great place. Awesome stuff. Good evening, Rich, who's in Turkey as well. We've got Uganda in the house. We love this. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We got Brighton this weekend, fellas. And you know what? Without further ado, Josh,
Man of the moment.
Right. Man of the moment.
I know.
I mean, Kev's been bigging you up.
I've know it's big shoes to fill now. Kev's been bigging me up a lot, and then I've come to the team that I have a season ticket at as well, and do this game, and it's going to be a difficult one for me to do. I'll start very quickly with the squaddies because I'm sure that question's going to come up. Yes, when I'm at the stadium, if Arsenal score, I'm going to be very happy. If Brighton score, I'm going to be annoyed that Arsenal conceded. That's where my allegiances lie. Basically.
Where do you sit? By the way, hi Trinidad and Tobago as well. Josh, do you sit in the Brighton end or the Arsenal end? And also, I said you have to, in the description, you have to explain yourself because I think the squaddies, most of them know, but some might not. You tell them.
Yeah, I live in Brighton. I've lived in Brighton for on and off over a decade. Brighton's where I got to see live football. My uncle would take me. I don't have anyone Arsenal. No, I have no Arsenal fans in my family other than me and my sister. So if I wanted to go to an Arsenal game, I'd have to go on my Todd. And when you're 13, 14, going up to London on your own isn't necessarily something your parents are going to say, yeah, no worries, just go. Because they're all Spurs fans. So they don't want to sit anywhere near the Emirates if they can help it. So yeah, my uncle, he was a Brighton season ticket holder, would take me to the Withdean and I'd watch football there and I'd enjoy it because, League Two, League One, Championship, it was great football. It was that, when people say proper football, I think that's what they kind of mean, that, close to grassroots, small crowds. And to be honest, if you'd asked me a decade ago when I was standing in the cold rain on, a December evening, watching Brighton playing probably Leyton Orient in League Two, probably losing. It was either against Leyton Orient or Northampton. They'd lose against either of them every week. I would have said I would not believe you if you'd said we'd sell a player for 50 million at in the summer to Arsenal, and that we'd be in the Premier League for coming up our fourth season now. I just never saw those crossing a divide. So having a team that was lower league for 10 years has been fine. And then suddenly they get to the Premier League and I'm like, oh shit, it's a split allegiances. So yeah, I was offered a Brighton season ticket last year as one of my uncle's friends was moving away, snapped it up because I was, in my mind, nowhere near the Arsenal season ticket list. Obviously, Chelsea game comes around and I get an email. Oh, do you want an Arsenal season ticket? Oh, for fuck's sake. 800 quid already just left my account, you bastards, to go to Brighton. So yeah, that's why I sit in Brighton. I will most likely be sitting in the Brighton end unless I can get an Arsenal ticket from somebody who's can't make it on the day. That's where I'll be at. So yeah, I'll probably be in the West Stand. You'll see me very grumpy, sitting roughly just behind Graham Potter when Brighton are winning.
So that's why folks have been saying that you want to sell Partey because you're a secret agent.
Yeah, that's it. I want to sell Partey because I want to get space for Basuma to come in. That's it. That's it, really. Move the guy on. Yeah, I'd love to keep Basuma at Brighton, but that's the other split one.
You know how sometimes a quick story, Kev, because my sister's a United fan, my cousins are Tottenham fans, and we were playing, I can't remember what year, in the 90s, we were playing Bulk at home in Europe. And they really wanted to go to a football match. So cousin George was like, fine, we'll take you. But, you know, we're going to sit in the North Bank and you guys have to, like, behave. Yeah. So Bulk score, of course. And my cousin, he's a goalkeeping coach. He's also like a massive Tottenham fan. He just couldn't help himself spontaneously, Kev.
He reacted. Oh, no.
The North Bank is dead, right? And he gets up and he's about to, because we're Greek as well, so he's about to go, yeah. And he gets up and he goes, you wackers, what are you doing back there? He totally acted.
He styled it out. He styled it out. I love it.
Wow. Oh my God. It was my cousin grabs his arm. He goes, sit down right now or I'm going to kill you. It's just
George
so
do him in.
Totally do him in. So when someone offers you a ticket, who was it? Someone was telling me the other day they were offered a ticket. Oh, Max, who's a Spurs fan, who was on the show, The Financial Max. And he said, someone offered me a ticket, but it's in the Arsenal end. He goes, I can't do it. He goes, I just can't do it.
No.
It's really hard.
I think there's proper games you could get away with it, I think. But fortunately, the guys I sit around know I'm an Arsenal fan as well. It was mentioned a couple of times. I was like, yeah,
I'm sure.
If I'm not there, you'll know why. It's because I'm in the other end. But it's going to be difficult.
All right, let's get to it. And Kev, I've got Josh's formation up. We're going to put the Arsenal up.
Entertain me,
first.
Josh. Entertain me. Come on.
Let me just get rid of this. Look at all the wonderful people from around the world that are tuning in. Wow. All right, Josh, brilliant. It's over to you.
Yeah, no real changes, to be honest, other than, of course, Sambi coming in for Granit Xhaka, who, unfortunately, because I think he played really well against Spurs. I was really surprised when he started. And to be honest, the performance he put in was great. Really sad that, unfortunately, the way he got his injury as well with Thomas Partey fouling Lucas and Lucas Moura going into Xhaka's knee. It's just really, really unfortunate for him. But I think Sambi coming in is the obvious choice there. I wouldn't look at, say, Smith Rowe and bringing Pepe back in. That would be one of the other options that I might see. But to be honest, I don't want to change too much. You saw how those three behind Aubameyang combined against Spurs. And I think we want to see that again, really. Again, back five, I think Kev and I are probably not going to move too much further from what we're going to say about the back five for the rest of the season. I think it's mostly going to be, what we're doing with the guys at the top. We want to make sure we're getting in and around Brighton's back three, which I completely expect Potter to fall back on. And control that midfield as well. Obviously, what will be key, and I think we're going to go through it as well, because for a little taster, and I think it would be a miss of me as someone who has been to every Brighton home game this season, just not to give a couple of Brighton lineups of what I expect the team to be as well. The main man, as we've mentioned already, would be Yves Bissouma. So this is what I expect to go, because Graham Potter's given his press conference. There's a couple of question marks over Danny Welbeck and Yves Bissouma as well. So this is roughly the lineup that they came out against Palace with. The only change is McAllister coming in for Welbeck. It does mean that centre of the midfield is very easy to get at with Lallana and Pascal Gross. That's where I'd look at Arsenal to try and dominate. It's Odegaard sitting in there, getting in and around Shane Duffy. Duffy has been an absolute revelation since he's come back from his difficult year at Celtic. But he's still that kind of defender that doesn't necessarily like it in and around him. If we're going to go with balls over the top, him, Dunk, Burn, they're going to gobble them up. They're going to deal with that all day long. It's got to be all about the quick interchanging, the stuff we saw against Spurs, basically. The guys on the flank, Cucurella is going to be bombing up and down that left flank. Again, it's to try and get in behind him as well. It's one of those that we saw. I'm thinking back to, Kev, you think back to the Everton game where it was Damari Gray and who's Townsend. They were the guys that were giving
running riot, weren't they? They were causing
absolute running riot, all sorts of troubles to Brighton, and that's because of the fullback situation there. I think Veltman instead of Solly March, who played out on the right against Everton, he's going to be the key one. I think he's a lot stronger defensively, but that's what I kind of expect. It's a little bit lightweight from like a Brighton fan perspective. I'd want a bit of steel in there, but there's nothing really in the Brighton squad right now. Alzate, unfortunately, did his knee, I think, from rightly.
Welbeck's done his hamstring as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, Welbeck's done his hamstring.
So he won't
he's about 25%, apparently seeing a specialist, whatever that means. But I'm not expecting
he won't be fit, mate. Trust me.
No. So the big one, I've stuck another lineup in there. If based on doubtfuls, that one's got Yves Bissouma in it. Basically, this is what if Brighton's got more or less everybody fit, other than Tariq Lamptey, because he's definitely not going to be playing. I don't expect him to start. As Potter said, Palace came a bit too soon for him. I think this game's going to have a similar intensity. He's going to be eased back in after nearly a year out with a hamstring injury. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of expecting to come out from Brighton. It's going to be one of those clever games that we always see from Potter. But one of the things that Potter isn't necessarily great at is his overall game management. And that's where Arteta's got to get in on that. And if he gets his tactics right, like saw with the Everton game, Benitez got his tactics perfect and Potter couldn't do anything to counteract them. And that's one of the things with this Brighton side is that there's not always the options you want off the bench. And that's where I think the game's going to be won or lost. Expecting it to be a tight affair unless Arsenal hit them hard. Like they do, because Brighton got hit them fast again, because that's been the key. We've seen it with Arsenal teams of yesteryear. Remember when Liverpool used to just basically beat us in the first 20 minutes? Constantly. Remember that Brendan Rodgers team that would just come out, blow us away after 20 minutes. And then we're like, oh, well, how do we get back from 5-0? You can't do it. Yeah. And it's got to be the same again. Get straight in, because this Brighton team, it's been frustrating as hell trying to watch them break teams down, because it's not been there for them. Watford was the only game so far I've seen from them this season where they have properly broken down a defence, but that Watford team isn't the Watford team you saw like maybe last week against Norwich.
Can I ask you both then, because I didn't see the game, but so how did Brighton do so well against Leicester? I know Leicester haven't gotten off to a great start this season. What was it about that game? That's probably their best result so far this season. They've got 13 points right now. They're in sixth. So as kind of bad as they've been, they've still had that really good result against Leicester, and the Everton performance was poor. But how did they beat them, Josh?
I would say the linesman really, really helped. He was on his day. He was at his best, that lino, because he was the guy that gave the penalty and he gave the two decisions at VAR then confirmed for him as well, in terms of spotting the offsides, spotting the interactions in front of Sanchez as well. So that was the big thing from the stadium anyway. That's what we felt, especially in the second half. Brighton had to really defend, really hold on. In the first half, they were all over Leicester, but Leicester just couldn't combine. As soon as Lookman came on in the second half with James Maddison, completely different story. Get a runner, wants to run at that Brighton defence. They can't really do anything about it, especially as he had Bissouma basically on one leg for the second half. That was the problem, that if there's no steel until the back three, that's the kind of problem that Brighton will have. So yeah, that's why I'm hoping you got Saka or even Pepe. I could see Pepe coming in for this again and Arteta just saying to him, run at these defenders, because they will be absolutely scared shitless of them. And it is an opportunity potentially. We've heard people saying that Saka, potentially looks a little bit jaded. I didn't think necessarily so. Got a rest. by coming off early in the North London derby as well. So that's why I kind of expect him and Smith Rowe to come straight back in for that. But I can see an opportunity for Pepe maybe in the second half, if we're struggling to break Brighton down, is the one to go and attack and charge at that defence. Because, without Basuma with 2 working knees, it's a completely different story for how solid that Brighton team can be.
Josh, what I saw, sorry, Soph, what I saw...
No, I was going to say over to you, Kev.
Yeah, what I saw in the 2 teams, I saw the first team you put up, which is a probable team. That's a probable.
That's what I expect.
Yeah, that's what you expect. So that's the probable team. But the second team you put up, that is a lot stronger for me. Because you've got the Basuma and Welbeck in there.
Yeah.
You've got the experience. Gross then moves out to the right-hand side. It looks a lot more solid. I know Cucurella, he was at Getafe. Very good player. Fit, up and down. Still getting used to the pace of the Premier League, by the way, I think. And from what I see there's opportunities in the wider areas for Arsenal. Behind your Gross or behind your Cucurella, trying to drag Dunk out of that space. Trying to drag Veltman out of that space so more space appears between Dunk, Duffy and Veltman. So players could run in between. I think that's going to be really important for us.
Yeah, just need to get Aubameyang on the shoulder of Duffy.
Yes.
And that's it, basically. Drag Dunk out, drag Veltman in. Duffy, he hasn't got the pace to get back from Aubameyang. Not many central defenders do, to be honest. And we saw a reinvigorated Aubameyang against Spurs.
Yes. Big time.
Yeah, he was definitely up for that. So a few people in chat have been asking about Pepe because of the performance that he had against them last season, guys. And you don't have him in the starting lineup. And, Arteta was right to start the team he did against Tottenham. It all worked out. What are your thoughts? You're saying, Josh, that he'll probably have a hand to play in the second half if things aren't going well. Kev, can you see a scenario where Arteta might go with Pepe based on his performance against Brighton last season? Or does he, with an international break coming and some of his players going off and some not, do you just stick with the team, keep the momentum going, try and get another good result?
Sophie, that's a great question. And kind of what we said last week, in a sense, where you could see a case for having Sambi beside Partey, 100%. But many Arsenal players, and many fans want the team to go for it, don't we? We've got weapons, let's go for it. So could you imagine he played a team the way he played at Burnley, where Thomas Partey was the sole midfielder, and then you've got the likes of Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Saka, and Pepe behind Aubameyang. Now, how would they deal with those 5 midfielders? That is going to be tough because you know what? You Cucurellas and whoever plays Gross, if he's going to play on the right, they have to really join the other 3 at the back. Because that's too many weapons at the top end of the pitch. So you're already putting them on the back foot. So that means you then start to control the ball. So I'm really hoping that Basuma, we don't need him getting injured because we like you for January, Basuma. So you just keep yourself all right. You just sit out this one. And I'd love to be having a go at the Lallanas of this world and Gross if he's going to play in there. That's a midfield. I fancy Partey and Sambi, or Partey, Odegaard and Smith Rowe to really have some real fun in that midfield.
Yeah, and I think there's, Kev was saying, and I've seen coming from the chat box as well, about talking about controlling Basuma. To be honest, in this Brighton team, control Lallana. That's the player. If Basuma can't lay it off to Lallana, he then has to travel up and out of position to then lay it off to the forward
to someone
guys,
else.
To Trossard. He then has to take it up, and he's then out of position. And then you get in behind. That's how you control Brighton. It's not as exact as you think of going, stop the best player, is no, stop the player next to him, that the guy he normally passes to. And it's Lallana's really key in this Brighton side. It is an absolute night and day midfield with Lallana in it versus not Lallana. It's one of those that it surprised me.
It's quality on the ball, isn't he?
He's so good on the ball. He is very much like the Santi to the Coquelin kind of thing. Kind of midfield, that kind of quality in there. And it is, as you can say, Pepe playing depends on how we're going to react to Xhaka's injury. It's either do you bring Sambi in and keep the shape, or does Kev say go against how we did with Burnley? And that was just Partey on his own in the midfield with Smith Rowe and Odegaard closer to him, and then Pepe out on the wing, ready to utilise that space that's available to him. That's the real key.
Because those wide, you see, Pepe and Saka can play wide if they want. They can tuck right in to make a tight four. Them two can go in behind Aubameyang to form a box with Odegaard and Smith Rowe behind them. So it's like 1-2-2 party. So it's tight. So their wide guys are left out and they're not even contributing. So it's really, they're outnumbered in the middle of the pitch. And it's all about getting a little bit of leverage. If you could get a bit of leverage, we don't want Lallana being on the ball. We want him trying to track players. That's what we want, because that ain't his game.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't hear you, Soph.
I think Sophie's going to go out, Josh. But
all right.
Josh, tell us about Mope, because we know he's a bit of a polarizing figure, isn't he? But he has started pretty well this season.
He has. He's the player that everybody was saying he's the problem for Brighton. You know why they should be higher up the league. With his XG versus actually converted goals. This start of the season, he's got 4 goals and an XG of 2. He has really taken that kind of finishing to the next level. You could see that finish, ice in his veins against Palace in that last final seconds just to lob the keeper. I'm expecting to see the same kind of polarizing figure that we know and love. The guy that gave Emi Martinez his break at Arsenal.
True.
I think that's, Martinez mentions this about his breaks plenty of times, never mentions Neil Maupay, and I'd like some credit to that man's name for that whole guy's career.
Josh, he's on it today. He's on it.
Yeah. Martinez can talk shit about us, but he wouldn't be where he was if Neil Maupay didn't injure Leno. But yeah, jokes aside, getting him into the game, obviously Brighton not going to be pinging balls in left, right and centre for him. It's all about the intricate play and him getting those chances in and around the box, or just creating situations, getting into the head of Gabriel. I imagine Gabriel's the player he's going to target because Ben White will know his antics. He played with him for an entire season. He's going to know what that guy's about. He knows the buttons he's going to try and push. And I think that's going to be key in there, is just keeping him quiet, which I would say without Welbeck, it's easier.
Yeah.
Because Welbeck always then gives you that threat of the ball over the top.
Yes.
But everything's going to be into feet, is what I expect. Soph, I think you're back.
I am back. I'm back. I've got a brand new mic, and for some reason, the last couple shows, it decides to mute on me in between. So I think there's something wrong with the wire, but we'll fix that. I was going to say to you, ask you guys, there's a couple of questions I have. I'll start off with this one. The first one is I wanted to put up, I think it was Ben's question. I'll find it here. No, it was Tubbs. Has Brighton coped defensively with Ben White's loss? Like, are they? You mentioned about Duffy and Dunk and stuff like that. Who a lot of our listeners think that if Pepe was playing, they could expose them. I think the players that you've chosen could do the same. Are they weaker because of not having Ben White?
Oh, it's an interesting one. I think it would aim a lot of people say you haven't really noticed, to be honest, Ben White missing, and it's not because he's not a £50 million player. It's just Brighton's setup is that good, and Duffy coming in, the position that Duffy is playing is more like a sweeper now. Brighton, instead of gone from having 3 ball playing centre backs, they're now playing with a sweeper, basically. And so it hasn't really affected how Brighton play too much, at least in the sense of having Dunk available now to still transition with the ball. Webster, when he was fit, unfortunately, he's not fit anymore, or right now anyway. Those two guys are still key in that defence. Dan Burn coming in, he's probably the one that you'd slightly worry about. I remember Pepe has very polarizing games against Dan Burn. I remember one game where basically Pepe lived in his pocket for one game, and then the game everybody is talking about, the one where Pepe scored 2 goals, is when he gave Dan Burn a nightmare of a time. Mm-hmm. It is very, you'll get one or two performances out of Dan Burn, and it's either a fantastic one or one where he is turned inside out. So yeah, I'd say overall, I've not really missed Ben White that much, but then because there's nothing else has really changed in that team, other than I say, Duffy's become a sweeper, and Robert Sanchez is so good with the ball at his feet that we don't need 3 defenders to be able to come back and pick the ball up from him. This is where the distribution of Matt Ryan was different, and obviously from Arsenal point of view, we know what the distribution of Matt Ryan was firsthand. It was better than Leno, but it still wasn't that kind of, like we've seen from Ramsdale. Ramsdale's got that long pass in him. Sanchez has got the same. Sanchez doesn't need to play it to Dunk or to White.
For them to do it. Yeah, he can do it.
He can pick it straight into Basuma. He can pick it straight into Lallana. He can pick it straight into Trossard. Don't need Ben White anymore in that regard. So yeah, they don't miss him too much.
Okay, so I've one for Kev as well, because it's coming from a few, and I'll just sum it up with Stephen's question. If we do start the way we did against Tottenham, Kev, obviously we're playing away, we're not at home. We may, soak up the pressure ourselves a little bit. How do you see if we do start with a fast tempo? Can this Brighton team cope with that? Is that how you see it playing out?
Well, I think we've got to put them under pressure. That's what I seriously think we have to start the way we started at home. That's the sign of a good side. If a good side can come to your ground and dictate to you, then you're playing against a top team. We know our levels can be inconsistent. So this is the $1 million question for us, Sophie. But what we have to do, we need to see the same energy from Aubameyang, because he will get more chance against Brighton to shut them down if they're on the ball, because they're not as good. They're not as good as the Spurs players at the back, in my opinion. But the fact of the matter is they play free, and the distances might be a little bigger, whereas there's 2 centre-halves and full-backs. The distances might be a little bigger. If you can win the ball quicker, then there's going to be gaps to play Aubameyang in. So we have to go in there with this mindset. We're going to run all over you today, and you're going to have to deal with us. And that's the best way to go into this game, as far as I'm concerned. You soak up pressure, that means Mopé's going to start getting balls into his feet in and around your box. That's where he's a clever player. That's where he's at his best. You got some decent players at the top end of the pitch for Brighton. Let's not take anything away from them. They're higher than us in the league. We beat them, we go above them. It's that type of mentality we've got to have. So we need to start with a fast tempo and make them play our game.
Yeah, I think 9-10. Yeah, we will be 1 point behind them, Kev, if we beat them. They're on 13 points.
Oh, sorry, we're on 9. Sorry.
Yeah.
Again, we're playing catch up. All these teams who have had a much better start than us because of our first 3 games, it's clawback time. This is clawback time, Soph. And, we look at the mentality last Sunday and we say, it was a great atmosphere. It was great. But you know what was great? It was great to see the players on the pitch pushing and going for the win, going for the jugular, looking to brock the neck quick. That's what we got to do with Brighton, because you know what? The longer this game goes on and it's tight, then some of the old traits might come back in where, people are worried to make a mistake.
Yeah. How do we deal with that mental and adversity? Are we there yet to be able to do that with this team that's just coming together? Josh and Kev, you've mentioned this a little bit, but I wanted to put Dana's question up in terms of the low block. getting into some specifics here, Josh, what's your thoughts on Dana's question?
I would have a look at if they fall back to how they played the second half against Leicester, then let's just say it was pretty nerve-wracking for 45 minutes watching them play defensively, because whilst they've got it, it is then about stopping that counter from Brighton. It was one of the things that was frustrating, that Brighton couldn't get a counter out. It was trying to get the ball to Cucurella, basically. As Kev said, he's only been here for a short amount of time. He's only played 3 games. The home game, he's fantastic. Both the away games, he's been not suspect, but as I say, he's adapting to the league, and he's a fantastic player. Seeing how he reacts again in this home game is going to be key about trying to make sure shutting him down, because he's got the skills to nutmeg a man on the wing and then just go. And having those options, it's going to be about the counter for Brighton. And the last game I saw them play in, the counter wasn't necessarily coming together properly. I wouldn't say Brighton play a low block. A 5 at the back can be seen as defensive. Sometimes it can be seen as offensive. The wing backs will be aggressive. That's what we do know. And that's what I expect, because they're not going to want to sit, especially at home, for 90 minutes with 5 at the back. This isn't Burnley. This is Brighton. This is Graham Potter. He wants to play football. He wants to pass through this Arsenal side. And he's done it before. He's shown with his Brighton side. He's shown with his Osterson side as well. He knows how to play against the big teams that like to play football and bring his brand of football in and play through them. So, yeah, not on the kind of low block that you would expect of other certain teams.
So Johnny Boy said this and a few others, that some of our forward players, Kev, our creative players, our attacking players, Johnny thinks you'd be chewing at the bit, chomping at the bit as a striker going into this game, Kev. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. But coming off the Tottenham thing, you don't want to get too high. You want to keep even keeled, level. Yeah. And you've talked about that a lot. What's going to be the thing that you've seen from the Tottenham game, and this is to both of you, that might worry you about the Brighton game? Not just the Brighton game, but as good as that performance was, Kev, was there something that you were in the back of your mind thinking we have to be better at this still? Or obviously there's a long way to go for this team. Yeah,
for me, Sophie, again, I can only speak as I see. For the last 3 games, look, the Norwich game, league games, the Norwich game, we were up and down, needed a Gabriel fantastic tackle to save us at the end. They showed fighting qualities at Burnley, which was a big test, and many people thought it's only Burnley. It was a huge test for us to get through. Then we get to the Spurs game. We blew Spurs away in the first half. Second half, I thought we managed it pretty well. But then we got a little bit sloppy at times. They got a goal back. And if it wasn't for a fantastic save by Ramsdale, that might have got a little bit. That might have got a little bit hairy at the end. If they go 3-2 after what we've done. So again, the key for me is sometimes not always can we keep our foot on the pedal, but it's can we stop being sloppy? And if we're not going to go forward, we've got to take better care of that football. We don't mind passing it and keeping it, etc., but not giving it away so they can then counter-attack us and score, because that then gets the home crowd going. And, even though their fans were walking out in the first half, if they get another goal, you could imagine what the home fans will be like. It just makes us a little bit more nervous. So that's the only... It's not even a criticism. It's just a want and a desire that I want the team to do a little bit better at. Control that game, keep the ball, don't get sloppy. And if you have to make substitutions, the subs come on and stick with the plan. Stick by playing the ball, keeping it and not giving anything away.
Yeah, and I think
Brighton
one
will
of the
be
things
so ready for this. Yeah, go on, Josh.
I was going to say another similar to Kev, it's not really a criticism because we've not seen an opponent do this to us yet, so we don't know how they're going to react as a team. But Spurs' press in that first half was basically awful, non-existent. It's how does our back four that's now newly assembled, had a couple of games together now, to bed in. How do they deal with a team that's going to press them properly, press them, really well organised? That's what I do expect to see from Brighton, is pressing from the front. With Trossard, Mopé, they're going to be running all game. They're going to be closing down any opportunities. That whole team is going to press against us. It's not going to be like a Liverpool press, because I don't think they've got the plaudits to that level, but it's going to be organised and they're all going to go at it. And it's going to be how we react with playing through. We saw against Spurs that against some of their presses, we got through quite easily on them. We could play through them. And I just want to see that again against another side, because I don't think that Spurs press was up there with like the best presses you would have seen at the weekend.
We need to, if we beat the press, we can absolutely demolish this Brighton side.
Yeah.
But we've got to be good with the ball.
Yeah. And off the ball as well, Kev. Something that we've seen
Aubameyang.
those improvements a little bit. Yeah.
Aubameyang, Saka, Smith Rowe. They're going to be the keys. If Pepe plays, he's going to be a key. It's not what you do on the ball sometimes, but what you got to do is you got to put the fear of God into those guys at the back. Dunk and Bird and these guys. You have to put the fear of God into them, and you've got to move them around. You've got to get players running into space and coming to feet, so they don't know which way they're going. That's when you've got them in trouble. And then they're going to be asking fullbacks or the wingbacks to tuck in. And then once they tuck in, then you're going to be comfortable at the back, because they can't press without them wingbacks. Yeah.
So you guys get any more questions in? We've got 10 or 15 minutes left here on the tactical squad ahead of Brighton v Arsenal, get the home team right. I've got the question for you that many are asking, guys, and a few people emailed in to ask too, because the most polarizing figure of the last, 3 or 4 years is Granit Xhaka. It's so funny. No one wanted him picked against Tottenham, and now he's injured. So many people are saying, what are we going to do without Granit Xhaka? It's the most mind-blowing subject and conversation in the Arsenal universe. Josh, I'm going to start with you regarding Xhaka, the party combination, what he brings to the table. What are your thoughts on Xhaka and him being out till January, and what we might lack without him?
Yeah, it's certainly a shame. I think it's one of those that, like it or loathe it, Xhaka and Partey is our strongest midfield combination that we've got right now. It's now that, unfortunately, now that Xhaka is out, this is where it's a chance for someone else to make their name in this Arsenal midfield. We can think of, when Sanya got injured and Bellerin came into the squad. It's the opportunity now that there's a player that's injured for them to stamp their mark. Let's see what Sambi's really about. Let's see even Maitland-Niles. He's been crying out for a chance in midfield. Well, here you go, mate. Our number one choice is out for a while. Sambi might not play every game, or at least he might not cope with it. It's then on to you. It's your chance for it. Mohamed El Neni as well. We've got to remember that he's still at the squad. Still in the side. He's another option that can come in as well and play. I know they're not options we really like, and I think from the kind of Arsenal point of view, the majority will want to see Sambi coming in from what we've already seen him do. And this is the real test for him to see, okay, are you the guy that's actually going to partner Thomas Partey maybe next season? And do we actually need to go into the market for Yves Bissouma? Do we even need to go and get him from Brighton? Because if we got the guy that we already, instead of spending 40 million, we spent 17 and got a guy from Anderlecht instead.
Josh, hold on a minute, Josh. You want to sell Partey, so we're going to need Bissouma.
Oh, that is true.
With the caveat of selling Partey was if he's injured and he's got the Ferrari in the garage without the wheels, he can't drive it.
Sophie, can we not deal with small talk, please?
Yeah,
let's just deal with Josh, who is absolutely chipper because he got it well last week. Josh, for me, I think El Neni will be gone. He's only got to the end of the season. He'll be gone. Maitland-Niles, Sambi, Partey, Xhaka. I still think we need another one in there of real quality. Bissouma beside Partey, I think, will be the perfect midfield. Maitland-Niles is flexible. He can play anywhere. And then, obviously, with the midfield, Sambi and maybe Xhaka, you can mix and match these guys for games. But when you're talking about playing against the top teams, playing against a Man City, Liverpool and Chelsea, you need them two midfielders to be athletic, to be tough, to be all of the above. And unfortunately, although Granit Xhaka has done okay, I don't think he's the answer against the very top teams.
No, I would agree that I don't think he is the guy in that. That's the problem. He is the guy probably for 75% of our fixtures. Yeah. And that's the games that we want to win. And he brings the best out of Partey as well. What I want to see is, can Sambi do it for maybe 60%, and we get the guy in that can then take, that next level and push us to that point. I don't know if he's the same as that guy, personally.
Stephen's saying don't sleep on El Neni. Do you see him going for Kev just mentioned El Neni. Do you not think he might go with Maitland-Niles before he chose El Neni again? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that is probably the case. We've seen what he's doing right now with guys who have only got 1 year left on their contracts. They're not getting an opportunity unless needs musts. I don't expect Leno necessarily to come back off the bench for the Premier League season. Same for Lacazette. I think from what we've seen in these games now, unless Aubameyang, obviously he's going off the Cup of Nations, that's when I expect to see Lacazette starting for Arsenal. But otherwise, I'd be surprised if I see more than maybe 5 games out of El Neni in the league.
Yeah. So Kev, one of the questions that came in, let me see if I can find it here. It was, I want to make sure I credit. Gunner for Life, with what Josh just said and with, certain players like Lacazette and El Neni, does this mean that we'll see more consistency from Arteta with his team selection? Obviously now he has his squad, he has the players that he wants. And we've always said, especially that back line, Kev, the chopping and changing of the centre-backs last season. What's your take on that?
Sophie, 100 million%. The fact of the matter is, you saw what happened in the first 3 games of the season. We go into the international break. We come out of it, and here we are, 1 game away from another international break, and we haven't lost a game. And virtually for all the league games, that back 5 have been in place. Thomas Partey's played a part in that, etc. Sambi, he's got his minutes. We've seen El Neni got injured, and we've seen Maitland-Niles getting some minutes as well. Started against Norwich, which was good. So I think now we're starting to see an emergence of he's picking players with the mentality first. That's what he's going to do. And I think they pick themselves, if I'm honest with yourself. The players with the right mentality. And this is no disrespect to Nicola Pepe, because I think Pepe's a huge talent. I think Arteta chose Smith Rowe and Saka because of their mentality. You saw the way they worked back. They put their foot in on the way back, and they were happy to break and be positive. That's why they played. Attitude is everything. It really is. And, listen, I know Brighton ain't a Liverpool, but they're still going to be a tough game. It's away from home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
we need the right mentality. We need the right attitude.
Completely agree on that one. As say, we're going to go from expecting like the Pep roulette that fantasy football players will understand. When Pep's just chopping and changing, this is going to be more like the David Moyes side of Arteta's kind of managerial kind of philosophy. Mm-hmm. The players that are doing it for him, Nicolas Pepe was given 4 league games, and he got a fortuitous assist, I would say. It's a fancy football assist. I wouldn't call it a normal assist because he fell over, the ball hit him, and it went over to Aubameyang. Didn't create enough for us. Smith Rowe's come in, got on a goal and an assist. That's his name first on the team sheet. You could see what Odegaard brought as well in the North London derby. His first name on the team sheet as well. And then Saka, goal and an assist as well. Those are the guys that he's going to go with in that front 3 because they are on form and they're doing it for him. If they drop out of form, they have 4 bad games, Pepe's back in. That's what I expect to see, and that's the kind of management style that I think Arteta's going for.
All right, very cool. So I'd like to get you guys out on a couple questions too. Any last minute ones, add them in chat. Kev, there's over 300 in live chat right now.
Dicky Bowl
Tell 'em what
Thursday,
you want.
guys. You know what I want. Kiss it, hit it, nut it, bang it, smash it, knee it, do a Vinny it, smash it, Vinny, hit it. Let's get a minimum of 175. Come on. We're over the half now. We need more than half. 175 we need. Or else, come on now, guys. Come on.
Kev, you know what? Matthew actually sent me a new one of these, and I thought I had it in here today, and I don't. So
It's
slap
all right.
me.
I hope he's got a bow tie on.
I'm not giving myself a yellow card. It is Vinny with a bow tie.
Oh, beautiful. Even better.
Yeah,
Even better.
So a lot of folks in chat have been talking about set pieces with Brighton, Josh. I'll start with you. They think that's where we can take advantage. I think we're all in agreement that Odegaard should take any free kick outside of that penalty box in that area. Talk to me a little bit about, I think one of the weaknesses for us, though, is our delivery, especially from corners. Can you guys talk me through that? Because I just don't feel we take advantage enough, especially when we have corners. I think maybe hopefully we'll see Gabriel come back into that a little bit more, Kev and Josh, in terms of the aerial ability. Someone was putting a bet on Ben White maybe getting a goal from a set piece. Is that their ultimate weakness?
I would probably say not in terms of set plays for Brighton. I'd say they've only got stronger since Ben White's come out because Shane Duffy's come back. And, you know, if you pass Shane Duffy your baby to hold, he'll headbutt it back to you. That's the kind of mentality he's got. He will just head everything all day, every day. They got through the championship doing that. Him and Dunk, they're the guys that are going to be the aerial threat. And then compared to maybe Brighton of yesteryear, Matt Ryan, not the tallest of goalkeepers, not great kind of commanding of his area. Robert Sanchez is a completely different animal in that goal. There's a reason why he is knocking on the door of Spain's national team for that first team spot ahead of David De Gea and Unai Simon, who are the two goalkeepers he's competing with at national level. He is a great goalkeeper and one to look out for, just generally. And I think I wouldn't really think that, although the rest of that team is quite diminutive, the key players that are going to be in the right positions, because they're not going to go necessarily with man marking. They're going to go zonal. And that's what you need. You need the good headers in the right place where the ball's probably going to go. And if Odegaard's taking it with his left foot, you know it's going to be an in-swinger. So you know roughly where you need to place your men. And again, the same for if Smith Rowe's taking it and it's an outswinger, or Odegaard from the other side and it's an outswinger. You know roughly where your three men need to be, and they're going to be commanding of it. Yes, we could always be better from corners, but I think corners are always one of those things that it's really hard to score from a corner directly because teams are so well organised and the ball's got to be perfect. Unless you've got a goalkeeper that doesn't like coming for it or is dodgy on crosses, I don't think there's many opportunities to really score from a corner. So I wouldn't hedge our bets on it. I wouldn't necessarily put our game plan behind it. But I think if we get a free kick in there and then we're smart, because I think I saw against Spurs, there was some really great movement. We were quite clever with how we did it. We weren't trying to beat the team in the air. We were trying to beat them. We're trying to outthink them at a set play. So that's either with, lay it off to another creative player who then plays the ball in. Try and get that back line moved around, mess with the players' heads, get the runs off them. Because they're just going to be looking at an Aubameyang. If it's a deep one, they're thinking, that's the guy in behind. Well, hang on. Let's maybe get like Smith Rowe, Saka, the guy they don't think about. That's what it's got to be. You got to outthink them. But to be honest, from corners, I would be shocked if Brighton conceded from one.
I think Dunk and those guys will be, Duffy and Byrne will be happy if we sling the ball in the box.
They've all come through the lower leagues of football. They've all played in the championship seasons. They love it.
It's bread and butter for them to go and attack the ball and look good. Bang, heading the ball 40, 50 yards away. Yep. That's great. But I agree, Josh. We've got to be inventive. A couple of short ones, all of a sudden gets people moving, and a flatter balls coming into the box. What I mean by flatter balls is, as opposed to balls that loop, you've got to fire quicker balls in flat where a smaller player can just get in front and flick it. And that's how you score. Because No matter how big the guys are, if you put a flatter ball in and somebody's quicker moving than you can always get in front and just glance one towards the goal. So I think that's what we have to do if we're going to make the most of our set pieces.
Okay, so it leaves us with some business predictions. Josh, I'm going to start with you. The Josh Derby, as we like to call this.
Absolutely.
What say you? It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a pushover for all the reasons you both have said and illustrated, and some great points from the chat box as well. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
So I'll go on a little tangent first. I have never seen Arsenal win at the Amex because, the last game was behind closed doors. Didn't see it. And at the time I wasn't in Brighton. But
I was.
You were there. You were the only person who was, weren't you?
Kev was there on the sidelines, yeah.
One of the lucky ones to see it. So I've never seen Arsenal lose. I did have a completely unbeaten record at the Amex. I hadn't seen Brighton lose in 40 games there. That ended in the Everton game. Everton came and won. So my duck has been broken. I'm not the golden child of the Amex anymore. I'm not the lucky mascot anymore. They've moved to the next guy. So I think that goes in Arsenal's favour. Arteta can thank me for that and thank Rafa Benitez as well for getting the win. So I do think Arsenal, if they approach this well, I think we've got better quality than Leicester. And I think you can see Arsenal winning this. And I think they should be winning it comfortably. That being said, Arsenal can make winning look very uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
Kev, what do you think?
I think Arsenal are going to win the game 2-0. And I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think our quality is going to prevail. But also the quality at the back. Our quality and toughness at the back, we've seen for the last 3 games. To win 1-0 against a Norwich side who had nothing to lose. To go to Burnley and win 1-0 away from home, under siege at times, is great. And now to beat Spurs 3-1 at home, but we were 3-0 up and we were cruising, to be honest. So, again, away from home, we want that clean sheet, Sophie. Keep that clean sheet, we win the game. That's for sure. And there seems to be a toughness about this back 5 that I like. Kieran Tierney doesn't have to be the swashbuckler who keeps, trying to do everything. He could just sit there beside Gabriel and let Smith Rowe get on with it at times and join him when he's ready. He can conserve energy, which is what we're going to need because we're going to need him to be solid at the back. So I think a 2-0 win to us, Soph, and I think it will be a great Saturday for us.
Yeah, it's a shame that I really thought that we were going to keep that clean sheet against Spurs, and it's a shame that we couldn't do that. But still, when you look at Ramsdale and his performances so far and conceding just the 1 goal in how many games, but those are the things that build confidence too, right, Kev? The more you duplicate things, the more they come off time and time again in matches. So I would love for us to get another convincing win here. I went for a 3-1 against Tottenham. I'm on a roll just like you, Mr. Josh.
Yeah, Sophie's flying.
I think this could be a real signature game for the Arsenal, like a 4-1. I feel like the goals can come. There's confidence, creativity. Ødegaard brings a totally different balance to the side. He really is a special player. Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka flying again. I fancy goals, and I think it would be a perfect way for us to sign off into the international sunset. So I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to go for a 4-1.
Sophie, you know something?
Yes.
If the score's 4-1, I won't be disappointed, let me tell you. I won't be disappointed at all. I just hope we score all 4 goals and then they get a consolation if they're going to get one.
Exactly. Yes. That's how it will roll, Kev. That's how it will roll.
Yeah.
Well, Kev, we usually give player ratings after the games. Your player rating today for Mr. Josh the Human, 23. What do you think?
Well, do you know what? He has to get a 9 because after last week, he's come with some swag, hasn't he? He has come with some swaggeroni in here. And he's probably gonna be sitting in the Brighton end as well. So that makes it. He might even get 9.5 for that. No, Josh has been fantastic, and to be able to get the formation right and get the team right and stuff like that is brilliant. We're gonna see what Arteta does this week, obviously, but I think many of the fans would love to see that straight swap with Sambi in there. I think they would like to see Sambi start. So,
be great.
Let's see.
Yeah. All right. Well, another good one in the books. Tactical Squad. Josh, anything else you'd like to add before you leave? And be sure to let the troops know where they can find you. Obviously, a lot of them calling for your sacking after wanting to sell Party. We're sticking with you, though.
I'm one of them.
What would you like the troops to know? Let them know where they can find you.
I'd like to say I'm more than just a single comment about Partey. I'm more than just that to the squaddies. I've got some other dodgy opinions they can get me on as well. But
well, you mentioned going to the zoo during one game, didn't you?
And Leno being in goal. And Leno being in goal.
There we go. I'm going to be at this game. You know why? It's because it's a Brighton game, not an Arsenal game. No, I'll be. Yeah, I can't wait for this game. Can't wait to see myself looking rather perplexed. Amazon, when the documentary comes round and you'll see me in the Brighton end, you'll go, spot the Arsenal fan. That's what I expect when it's 4-1. I go on, get in.
I love it.
Getting kicked out by stewards. You can find me on Twitter at JoshTheHuman23.
Lovely. Perfect. Brilliant. And of course, they can listen to your dulcet tones on a Bergkamp Wonderland as well.
They can indeed. Last week, I jumped in and gate crashed them because they left StreamYard open and I just jumped straight into it.
Love it. We love it. I hope you weren't at the zoo.
No, I wasn't. It was straight after we did our tactical squad. I jumped straight into their stream.
Nice
they didn't
one.
know it. It's Danny's fault for leaving the door open.
Brilliant stuff.
That.
Okay. Don't forget to go over to Football Prizes. I posted something this morning. I have a feeling it's going to be very popular. There's a signed and framed Bukayo Saka shirt that is up for grabs now, Super Kev. I'll post a picture tomorrow during Kev Says. That's going to be a popular one. You better get your ticket now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely get your ticket now.
Other than that, I don't have anything else. I'm going to hand it over to Super Kev. We will be back tomorrow with Kev Says. We got some giveaways happening tomorrow too. Kev's already sent his videos. He's got some great topics for you. Thanks again to Josh. And thanks for joining us early. And for those of you listening on replay, thanks so much for tuning in too. Kev, over to you.
Right. Josh the Human, 9.5 you got today. You brought swag. You got it right last week. We smashed the Spuds. And you're happy. You're going to be in the Brighton end. So that's why you got the extra 0.5. So listen, we better make sure we win this week. But hey, brilliant show. Sophie, as always, hostess with the mostest. Very caring. Making sure Josh is on point with his teams, etc. I love it. And then I joined the stream and it all goes haywire. But you know what, squaddies? We love you, and thanks for joining us early. We know sometimes it doesn't quite work out when we change, but we had to change this one. Thank you so much, squaddies. As always, squaddies, we salute you, and we'll see you tomorrow at ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.